Hi there, welcome to FreedomFighter.net. I'm Don Klein. Let me ask you a question. How many of you know, let's see a show of hands, how many of you know what the rule of law means? I bet you most of you are going to sit there and say, well, the rule of law is what the police used to cause the riots in Ferguson, Mississippi. The rule of law is what the cops used to pull me over when I'm doing 30 miles an hour over the speed limit. Things like that. Well, actually, that's a really distant cousin of the rule of law. The rule of law is the fundamental philosophy that our nation is based on. Our foundation of liberty is based upon. The Declaration of Independence pointed out that the governments govern by the consent of the governed. That throws out the old theory going previous to that governments govern by the divine right of kings to govern. Basically, what the rule of law says is that government, a king, a president, right down to the cop on the street, cannot require you to do anything that is not mandated by law. He cannot require you to give up your privacy without probable cause of wrongdoing. He can't deprive you of your rights without due process. He can't do anything of that type. And that is why it's very important today, something that's going on today. I mentioned it in the last FreedomFighter.net, the background check theory, the expanded background checks. They're totally ignoring the fact that they cannot lawfully, under the Constitution, they cannot mandate you to mandate an interrogation under penalty of perjury from you as a precondition to exercising a right. And keeping and bearing arms is a right. It is an individual citizen's right. It's not a privilege. It's not a suggestion. It's not, well, only if we say so. It is a right. Nobody can tell you that you can't do it except you. That's what the Constitution says. That's what the whole form of government that we have says. These expanded background checks that we're talking about are not merely to restrict the right to keep and bear arms, to limit the number of people who have the right to keep and bear arms. They are also designed to destroy our Fourth Amendment right against being interrogated or having our records on government databases searched as a precondition to exercising that right. They are also in violation of the Fifth Amendment right to due process, because even if they grant you permission to own a gun, that's still not that makes it a privilege. That's not a right. So by claiming that you have to go through these hoops in order to exercise your right to keep and bear arms, they're trying to make that a privilege. And in the process, they're trying to take your rights away from you in violation of your right to due process. And of course, all of this is in violation of the 10th Amendment that says the government doesn't have the power to do anything that it has not delegated the power to do in the Constitution. And the state governments don't have any power to do anything that are prohibited to the state governments by the Constitution. And that includes the Second Amendment prohibition against interfering or infringing on our right to keep and bear arms. So in trying to destroy the right to keep and bear arms, they're going after also the Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, and 10th Amendments to the Constitution. And that's really the rule of law. We're talking about the rule of law here. We're talking about the very fundamental basis of American jurisprudence. The fact that government does not have the authority to tell you what to do unless there is a constitutional law saying so. The opposite of the rule of law is the rule of man, also known as the divine right of kings to govern. instead of the consent of the governed. Now, in this country, kings don't have a divine right to govern. The president does not have a divine right to govern. The cop on the beat does not have the divine right to govern, or any kind of a right to govern. He can only do that which is authorized him by law, and that law has to be pursuant to the Constitution. So from this you should be able to see that these expanded background checks being pushed by a bunch of very wealthy, subversive insurrectionists. These are insurrectionists against the Constitution of the United States. And we have a right to stop them. We have an absolute, unassailable right to prohibit them from doing that. In fact, Title 18, United States Code, Section 2383, makes it a crime, a federal crime, to engage in insurrection against the Constitution of the United States. So therefore, we need to stop these people. We need to vote against any of their background checks. We need to repeal the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act of 1993 that established the background checks in the first place, because it's not legal when firearm dealers are required to do it either. And in fact, the United States Constitution does not authorize the federal government to even license gun dealers. We need to put the federal government back into its constitutional box. And the only way we're going to do that is for the people of the United States to stand up and be counted and refuse to submit to unconstitutional law. If it takes civil disobedience, then it takes civil disobedience. But we cannot allow them to continue, or we will lose everything this nation was founded to preserve and protect. Have a good day. I hope you pay attention. I hope you find out what's going on and start doing something about it. Bye-bye.